What's up, guys? You know who it is. Marcus J. Jackson, Live Life, episode number 28. All right. The show must go on. All right. The show must go on. And you cannot be afraid to start over. All right. It's okay to start over. All right. Let me make that edit real quick. This was quite an eventful night. As you see, it is 3:25. Let me see. You have to be willing to start over. Okay. So, this is National Suicide Awareness Month, all right? And this entire week was dedicated to the LGBTQ community. September, I want to say 4th, all the way through the 8th. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 3rd, all the way through the 8th. Right, and it was just me doing these videos to bring attention to suicide awareness, suicide prevention, things of that nature, depression, anxiety, and specifically the LGBT community for this week was the focus. And it was because the young man in North Carolina decided to take his own life after he came out with his to his mom and his school classmates that he was gay. And his mom was, she encouraged him, and she told him, I love you, you are who you are, so on and so forth. So he took that to the next level and decided to share that information with his classmates and his teachers at school. Well, that didn't turn out like he thought it would. So his friends began to bully him, and as a result, he decided to take his own life. So suicide is very real, guys, and bullying is very real. However, when these things happen, we do have to try and educate, right? And these things will, you have a tendency where you have to go, you feel like you've lost everything and it's time to go back to the drawing board and start over. A lot of times we look at death as it being separate from life or the end of life. However, death is a part of life. And I know, I know that's easier said to accept than done, right? It's easier said than done when it comes to that. So, but I just want you to understand that it's not, death isn't something that we should, we should cringe at. Yes, we are going to miss the person, but if we understand, if we think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, that person, the essence of that person is still here. So, we'll get into that a little more as we continue the Live Life series. So, if you have clicked on this video and you need assistance, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. I have it in the comments right there. So if you need to talk to one of the experts, by all means, give them a call. They also have a live chat. It's called the Suicide Prevention Lifeline.org. All right. If you're in danger of hurting yourself or someone else, and you just clicked on this video, go ahead and click off the video. Go to your phone and call 911 and get you some help immediately. Okay. If you want to talk to me after this video, I am available after the video to talk to. I will listen to you. Whatever I can do to help, because it doesn't. It doesn't make, to me, it doesn't make sense for people to have to go through things like depression and anxiety, and have suicidal thoughts and be alone, right? And I think that it's very important that we have more platforms like this, more outlets like this, because I'm unaware of platforms that deal with mental health and things like that. So these things need to be, we need to be educated about some of this stuff, and like, we don't know, and like the Bible says, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge, and or due to lack of knowledge. And I don't know. I think it's real important that we embrace the mental health situation, and help people build from it and become the strongest version of themselves. Okay. So what else? Let me make sure I got everything. Suicide. You have okay. So anyway, like I said, let's go ahead and get started. Let's get grounded really quick. Well, I know that's a oxymoron. Get grounded really quick. Anyway, let's see. There we go. That's more like it. Okay. All right. So let's take a deep breath. All right. We're using diaphragmatic breathing. Right, so we allow air to fill through the belly. Last one, deep breath. All right. So anyway, as you can see, it's 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, and one of the reasons why I called it the show must go on is because I fell asleep. So I fell asleep probably a little bit after 8 o'clock, right? And I'm usually up by, I take that little nap, and I'm usually up by 11, right? But somehow it did not happen that way. It did not happen that way. So I'm usually on from 12 a.m. to about 1 a.m. and I'm available for phone calls, until 2 a.m. And I didn't, I don't know what happened. You know how you come home and you take a quick nap real quick. I still had all my clothes on and everything. So I took that nap. You take that quick nap, say, I'm gonna get up in a minute and eat and everything and all that good stuff. Man, I was out of there. And I woke up, it was like 2:50 something. And I was like, oh man, I missed my video. So it happens, it happens for a reason. But, the show must go on. It must go on. You still have to, do the things that you say you are going to do. You have to stand by the things that you committed to, right? So I'm definitely with that. So with that being said, there are many times we go through things in life and we feel like that, you know, we want to quit, right? And I'll be very, very candid with you, very honest with you. Ever since I started working for myself, you know, I've realized what how hard it is to be an entrepreneur, right? It's very, you know, it's really, really easy to work for someone else, right? And it's not that I need to also put the truth about entrepreneurship on here as well. Anyway, so it's man, where to even start? All right, hold on. Okay, there we go. All right, so yeah, I had to make sure I added that in the title. The truth about entrepreneurship. The show must go on, and you have to be willing to start over. All right, so all that rolled into one. All right, so yeah, so when I first started working for myself, and this definitely hit home for me because one of my clients had an attempt at suicide about a year ago, and he, you know, was a very, very well-to-do gentleman. However, he wanted to pursue one of his passions, and you know, a lot of times our passions, or when we pursue our purpose, it's not necessarily the most lucrative you know, decision that we can make, because you know, a lot of times the things that we're passionate about or the things that we're excited about are don't make us a lot of money. It's just a fact. You know, I'm passionate about, you know, helping people become the strongest version of themselves. You know, I'm passionate about, you know, reaching out, being able to help people at the lowest point, and you know, even help people at their highest point. But in that service, there's not a lot of money to be made. You know, I mean, there's things that you can do to make money, but you know, for the most part, you're not going to be a super billionaire in a service industry. You know, unless you can provide some type of invention, you know, like a phone, like, you know, some phone service, cell phone services like AT&T. That's a service company that, you know, they make super billions of dollars, and you know, things like that. Entertainment, you know, if you want to say that that's a service per se, then that's something too. But boots on the ground, you know, making videos like this, you know, YouTube channels like this. I mean, it's very rare that you find, you know, billionaires that are genuinely willing to help people or in the service industry, right? You know, there's not a lot of billionaire licensed professional counselors. There's not a lot of billionaire coaches. You know, but I'll settle for some millions. It doesn't necessarily have to be billions. You know, so it's just not, a lot of times our dreams and our passion or our purpose doesn't really make us a lot of money, or it's not going to make us a lot of money. And we sometimes we try to turn that into we try to monetize that through entrepreneurship, and it's doable. However, it is very challenging, right? So he I don't know, I mean, he was in, like I said, this was about a year ago, and his passion was public speaking. So he wanted to so he took Toastmasters. He became very, very well versed in speaking, and it just didn't catch like he wanted it to. Like, it didn't pick up like he wanted it to. So, because of that, he was because he gave up his corporate job, and, I was just like, wow, that's a big move, man, and of course I support him because that's something that he wanted to do. And hey, he said that was a passion of his, and I'm like, hey, man, by all means, go for it. But, I think what the epiphany that happened to me happened to him, is that you have to work just as hard, right? You have to work just as hard at your corporate job. You have to work twice as hard than you do as an entrepreneur, than if you had a corporate job, right? I mean, you put 8 hours a day on your corporate job, and you're there. You're working for that 8 hour period. You're doing whatever it is that corporate job wants you to do, right? But as an entrepreneur, you don't want to. The idea of entrepreneurship has been because it's been monetized on social media. You see the entrepreneurs, with the big cars and going on vacations and going on the trips, but you don't realize that they've already put 20 years in the game, 30, 40 years, sometimes 40 years in the game. And, they can do that now. They have a huge following. They have people who have been with them for years, and, they can leverage the history that they have in the industry. All right. So a lot of times, and that's kind of like same thing like one of my clients, he got caught up in the hype of it, right? And seeing the end result, even though he was a very well-to-do businessman in the corporate world, but when it came time for him to, use those, the values and that regiment for himself, for his own passion, it wasn't something that lined up very well. And, he attempted suicide. And, thankfully it did not work. Thankfully it did not work. And I'm very, very grateful that he is still with us. And I want you to know that your dreams and your purpose and your passion is what it is, right? It's a dream, it's a purpose, it's a passion, right? And in order to make those things come through, you have to have a plan, okay? And in order for you to do these things, you have to put the time in, right? Just like for me, for example, when I first went into real estate, which was one of another business venture that I started. I thought that once I had a license, and just let people know, whoever wanted to sell a house, or whoever wanted to buy a house, I'm the guy. No, it does not work that way. It does not work that way at all. And I spent a lot of time, wondering, trying to figure out the formula, or trying to figure out how to use this tool and how to use this information and how to, do this and how to do that. And if you do not put the time in, right? I mean, like, you literally have to put the time in, right? So you can buy all of the quick systems and all the quick lead generation and so on and so forth, but you literally have to put that 8 hours or more a day on making phone calls, right? Calling people number after number, having conversation after conversation after conversation after conversation. Like they always say, you got to get through 1,000 people that say no to get to that one yes, right? And it's when you have the expectation of doing these great and wonderful things, because you're going to make all this money, you're going to change your life and so on and so forth, but that doesn't happen because we have this instant gratification through entrepreneurship advertised to us, right? And we don't see what it takes behind the scenes to figure out, to figure out what the real deal is, right? So no, there was a harsh reality that I had to swallow by, and I went through the real estate school, easy as pie, and listening to the instructors talk. They've been in the game 10 years plus. So it's like, okay, but even they make it sound, really easy, or to make it sound like it's not a hard thing to do. And it's not hard. It's a very, very simple task, right? Let me be the first to say that. It's a very simple task, right? But just because something is simple does not mean it's easy, right? And I always like to use the analogy, if you take a bucket of sand to the beach and you say, hey, I want you to fill the bucket with sand. You tell your child, fill that bucket with sand. And they say, oh, no problem. So they're going to go take the shovel, load the sand off in there. Hey, Dad, it's done. I did what you said. Okay. Now this time, that was easy for you to do, right? I have something that's very, very simple for you to do as well. I want you to take a pair of tweezers and fill the bucket with sand, right? Empty the bucket out, take a pair of tweezers, fill the bucket with sand, right? So now it's a very, very simple task. It's easy to do, right? It's easy to do, but it's going to take time, right? Because you're only going to get a few grains per squeeze of the tweezer, all right, and dump into the bucket. So it's only going to be a little bit. So, a little bit at a time is going to go in there. So that was truly an awakening to me. And, it just, it had to, the reality just really, really hit, a couple days ago when me and my wife were having a conversation about, entrepreneurship, and we are, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to, if things don't work out like I was, like we were planning, I'm gonna have to go back to, corporate. And that is, that's like I don't want to, I don't want to have to do it, but I will. I'm not afraid of starting over. I'm not afraid of starting over. And sometimes we think that because our situation is not like we thought it was going to be, because you've bought into yourself wholeheartedly, right? And through the advertisement, they make you feel like you can take on the world, right? Just in entrepreneurship in general, not so much as real estate, but in entrepreneurship in general, they make you feel like, yeah, I can do this. I can take on, I can take over the world and, make all this money and so on and so forth, right? And then you are completely sold on it. And if you just use this system, it'll work. Or if you just use this lead generation, it'll work. If you just use this business model, it'll work. Everything will be perfect, right? And we buy into that. We buy into that wholeheartedly. So I saw, everybody that was doing real estate, and I'm like, wow, okay, cool. One of my mentors, She's very, very successful in the business. And, you know, she is so successful, you know, when people hear the name, they're like, oh, wow, yeah, you know, they're really, really, you know, taken aback by actually being able to talk to her, because she's so, you know, she has a very, very stronghold, you know, in the real estate game. And, you know, so I'm gonna hang on her coattails, and, you know, and her husband as well. He's into real estate too. You know, she works the traditional side, and he works the investment side. So yeah, definitely, you know, I mean, it's always good to make sure you hook up with people who are, who can mentor you in the things that, you know, that you want to do. You know, if somebody does something that you're passionate, I would invite you to reach out to them and try to see if you can receive any type of mentorship from them. So, but yeah, by all means. But here's the thing: I was not prepared for the letdown per se, right? There wasn't a time where I thought that it wouldn't work. And just like now, I don't think that real estate doesn't work. You know, I don't think any business out there doesn't work. You know, I think it'll any business that you decide to go into will work, right? It's just that how we see entrepreneurship advertised is not really what it is, because we don't see the work that has to go on with that. So, and like I said earlier, just like you go to your regular job, you're working that regular job for 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, whatever it is, right? You're completely focused on doing that job, okay? And you have to do that same 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 hours a day or more working for yourself, because you don't have that infrastructure set up. Like, you don't have, you know, ready and available computers and tablets and all the gadgets that you have at work to make the job easier, right? You don't have the set break times. You don't have the set lunch times, you know, or the convenience of going to the break room and, you know, so on and so forth. As an entrepreneur, you're out, you know, in the field, you know, trying to make things happen. You don't have that steady paycheck, right? You're out in the field trying to make things happen, trying to meet people, trying to build relationships, you know, trying to get yourself out there, put your business out there, let as many people as you know what you do. Okay. So that was a culture shock for me, you know, and I was just like, wow, you know, I thought it would be very, very different once I got my real estate license. You know, I thought everybody would be like, oh, wow, you know, Marcus has his real estate license. Let's go buy a house from him, you know, or let's sell our house with him, right? And it never, you know, it never dawned on me per se that people aren't looking for a real estate agent, you know. It's just like, wow, really? You know, unless it's someone that they already know or they've been referred to and so on and so forth. And how does that happen? You have to have some time, you know, in the game. So there is, for me, patience is one of the things that I have to deal with, because, you know, I'm a product of instant gratification. You know, I am, you know, used to being in the matrix, right? Used to my paycheck coming every 2 weeks. You know, or semi-monthly, whatever you want to call it, the 1st and 15th. So I'm used to that. So when you don't have that, it's a very, very uncomfortable feeling, and you know, you want to quit, like you really want to quit and just go back to working your job. If that's something, you know, that you want to do. Now, you can definitely, I mean, you can always keep your job, which is something that I recommend. Keeping your job, right? And this will keep you from, you know, thinking that suicide is the only option. All right. This will definitely keep you from thinking that suicide is the option, or you want to check out, you know, you're ready to transition yourself because things aren't working out. Here's a solution for that. All right. Let me just a second. Let me get some water. check my comments. Good morning, Carlette. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for tuning in. So, where was I? Okay, so you want to understand that there is an option, right? You can always, if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, keep your job, right? This will be the perfect, if there was a perfect world, right? If I could do it over again, right? Or if I could make a blueprint for you, this is what I would say. This is what I would say do. Okay? Adjust my camera right quick. If you have a job, right? Use the money that you make on your job, right? Whatever you can save after you pay bills or what have you, okay? Use that money to help build your business. So, let's say, for example, your side business is doing hair, right? You do hair, right, on the weekends or after you get off your regular job, right? So in order to do that, you're going to need hair supplies. You're going to need combs and spray bottles and, the different type of conditioners and shampoos and, whatever, right? Grease, all the stuff, moisturizers. So whatever you need, you use that extra money that you have set aside from your job, buy those materials, right? And then as you begin to get clients, you let people know that, hey, I do hair on the side. That's one of my businesses, or that's my side business, or whatever, side hustle, as you will, if you will. So use your side, so grow your side, use your job to grow your side hustle, right? Then your side hustle turns into a business, a full-blown business that you can work full time. So don't think that it can't be done. Don't think that your dreams of being an entrepreneur are shattered because it didn't work out the first time, or it didn't work out like you thought it would, or now that you figured out you have to put in as much work as you would if you were working a full-time job. Because whatever business that you go into, you're going to have to put some skin in the game. You're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to work the business. You're going to have to work the business, and there is no way around it. And I had to discover that the hard way, and one of my clients had to discover that the hard way as well. And I'm not afraid to start over. Like I'm not afraid to start over, because ultimately the show must go on, right? Like you still have to live, and you still have to function in this world it's a capitalistic society. So you're going to have to function in this world of bills and paying money for everything, right? There's a bill for everything. There's a bill for breathing now, right? You got to pay some money to breathe, right? So yes, definitely. Do not be afraid to start over, guys. It's not something that is going to, it's not going to hurt. It may hurt your pride a little bit, but ultimately the idea is to, learn from that situation and, move forward from it, and don't allow this to be something that you ponder, you have suicidal thoughts on, because, you didn't have any other answer. You didn't have any other way to go about it. So, tonight I invite you to, seek the alternative, right? Seek the alternative, and that means sometimes you have to be willing to start over. I'm willing to start over. I'm willing to take some time and regroup. So by no means, entrepreneurship is not something that is going to go away for me at all, because I still, even even if I end up getting a full-time job, or a part-time job, I'm still, I'm still going to do, real estate. I'm still going to do my coaching business and the whole nine. And I didn't even, and here, I'll tell you a little bit about my coaching business, right? So it didn't even dawn on me to do coaching as a full-time thing, when I first got into it. And I was doing coaching before everybody, before it hit this big, everybody become a life coach, and everybody can be a coach, and relationship coaches, and everybody needs a coach, before the big coaching thing hit. I was already doing coaching for probably about 10 years in already. And, within this last, probably within this last 20-year cycle, you just had this influx of coaches. You got the health and wellness coach, you got the fitness coaches, life coaches, and, transition coaches, image coaches, and now it's a coach for everything now, which is awesome. I think it's good. I don't have an issue with that. But even that has this, they've glorified it and made it seem like, it is the end all be all, of entrepreneurship. And it can be, but you have to work it. A lot of times we see these guys who like Tony Robbins and, Les Brown and some other, big name coaches or inspirational speakers, if you will. They have, they've been doing this for years, right? And just because you put up some posts or you take some pictures, thinking that you're going to, draw, this millions of dollars in, 2-3 weeks time, becoming a coach or becoming a life coach. It's not, it doesn't work that way. You're not going to reach millionaire status in any business in 1 to 2 days. It doesn't happen, guys. And, unless you're like a legacy or you win the lottery, and you kick a business off and it's a boom. I mean, it does happen. People hit the ground running in some businesses sometimes, and it's just the way that things happen for them. But it is very, very rare. And if we don't fall into that rarity, we tend to get upset and we tend to get beside ourselves. And suicide is our way of checking out, is our way of getting over that. But it is not. It's okay. It's okay to start over, right? That's why I'm sharing my story with you, so you can, realize that it's not, it's not something that, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not the end of the world because your business venture didn't work the way that you wanted it to, okay? And that's the truth, that's the truth. It's just not, it's not going to happen if you don't put the work in. It is a very, very challenging way of life. All right, it's a very challenging way of life, and you have to be willing to push through. Like I said, the show must go on. You have to be willing to push through the tough times. There's going to be times where you're not going to make any money, right? There's and this is the first month that I've gone without a transaction, right? So I'm panicking, I'm kind of like, it's like, oh man, wait a minute, oh wow, something's up, you know what I mean? I want to be able to, I want to be able to make some money and, all that good stuff. But, that it happened like that. It happened like that for a lot of people, who started out in real estate. When I started out in coaching per se, when I started to do it full time, there were months where I didn't have a new client, right? because after I reached my warm, I conquered my warm market, right? Like everybody's already, I've already been referred to this person, or I've already helped that person, and so on and so forth. So it's like, you know, like you help people out of a job. So it's like, you know, so it's one of those things for me that, you know, I'm not really big on dragging people along through coaching sessions and, you know, trying to just drain them out of money. Once you get the information you need, you know, you should be ready to move on. And I want you to be ready to move on, right? You know, that's the whole idea, is for you to be coached into the strongest version of yourself. You can't be the strongest version of yourself if I'm your coach and I've been with you for 20 years, right? That means I'm holding you. You know, I'm babying you for 20 years. Now, you know, if there's some kind of, you know, there's always some exception to the rule. So for you guys, I'm not talking about you, all right? But anyway, be willing to start over, guys. It's not the end of the world. Trust me. You know, so, but you just have to be willing. You have to be willing. And like I said, the show must go on. So if you have to, you know, sell your house and move into an apartment, you know, so you can start over, then by all means do that, right? Sell, you know, go into an apartment and regroup and build your business that way if you need that money freed up. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I have had to live in a efficiency apartment with my family before, right? Because of a business decision that I made, an investment that I made that didn't quite go well. So yes, I had to go into an efficiency apartment, and you know, it was all of us packed in that little, you know, efficiency apartment, and that's just the way that it happened, you know. But now, you know, I have a house. I'm very, you know, I make better business decisions now, you know, and it's better for me now. It's not, you know, I'm not a multi-billionaire yet. You know, I'm not a multi-billionaire yet. And there are some things that I am still learning. However, I do have a very, very strong support system, and, you know, which enables me to continue to look for things to, you know, it helps me continue to be free to do things to better, you know, our overall income, right? Or to make those decisions to, you know, make us better, right? So, but yeah, don't be afraid. There's no reason, you know, to be afraid to start over, right? You know, you have to be willing to start over. It's just a part of being an entrepreneur. Not every big business in this world. The guy from Formula 409, the guy who made Formula 409, literally called it 409 because it was his 409th time trying to put together a formula that was like the best cleaning solution, right? So, you know, imagine if he quit. You know, what would have happened if he did that? The story behind FedEx. The guy that started FedEx, you know, he started the packaging. You know, they deliver packages all over the world now. And he got to a point where, you know, he could have definitely quit, you know, chalked up his losses and, you know, did something else. This guy got down to his last $5,000 that the company had, right? Took it to the casino and gambled it. And, you know, he gambled it and made $50,000. So that $50,000 was able to carry them for, you know, another few months. And in that time, he acquired sponsors and, you know, people to invest into the business, you know. And now we have FedEx, which is a, you know, global conglomerate. So, you know, but you got to be willing, you know what I'm saying, to not quit. Like, you can't give up. You know, the show must go on, right? And that's definitely, you know, that definitely holds true to life itself. Things are going to happen that are not necessarily in our favor, and we must be willing to persevere. We must be willing to demonstrate for not only ourselves, but for other people that these things can be done, right? We have to be willing to demonstrate that the people can persevere through tough times, right? So that's why, I'm doing the Live Life series. That's why, I'm focusing on suicide. This week was dedicated to the LGBTQ community. And, because people need to see, people need to know the truth about, life, not just entrepreneurship, but life. Like that's life. Everything not every single thing that you put your hand on or that you want to do is going to work out the exact way you want to work it, that you're going to work. It's not going to work out that way. But accepting that is 80% of the battle. Okay. And then with the mindset that everything is going to work out the way that I want it to, and I'm going to continue to go for it no matter what that looks like. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't necessarily work out. I mean, the FedEx guy, I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting to have to go to the casino, to do it, but that was it. He said, before I give it all up, let me go and see if I can make some money, right? Just like the Formula 409 guy. He said, man, I'm gonna try one more time before I give up, And I know after he got to 350, and if he'd known it was gonna take 409 more times, I definitely believe that he would have gladly kept going. But at 350, I definitely would. I already know some of us have been like, you know what? This is the 350 sample of chemicals that I done put together. And I was unable to come up with a formula to clean it, right? Or to clean the way that I wanted to. But 409 was the number, the 409th formula that he put together turned out to be the Formula 409 that, went on to make millions of dollars. So don't feel like things are impossible, guys, because they're not. Netflix. Netflix went to a couple of big, I think it was Netflix or either Redbox. Netflix or Redbox went to Blockbuster, and they presented the business deal to Blockbuster. And, they was like, well, nah, we're good. We're going to stick with our, business model. That's a good idea, but, that's not something we think is going to work. Lo and behold, a couple of years later, Netflix is all over, Redbox. I think it's Redbox. Redbox is in, all the 7-Elevens. They're in all the Walmarts. They're in Kroger's. There's a Redbox thing everywhere. And slowly but surely, Blockbuster goes out of business. So, that's just the business. That's the nature of the business. Innovation takes over, and sometimes we have to regroup and start over. So I'm pretty sure the guys that are doing Blockbuster now, they're probably invested into some Redbox or Netflix or things of that nature. Because if you are a business, if you're a hustler, you know how to make money. You know how to make it happen. So, but yeah, let's see what else. Some more truth about entrepreneurship. Save money. Save money. Now when I would take the I would take the financial courses, or I would go on financial lectures for people that are in high positions and stuff like that. So I would go to the lecture or financial workshops, and I would go there and listen. And now I understand why, you want to have 6 months or more of living expenses put aside. And I get it now. Like I understand now, because those are people who are people who have that or do that are they're in the mind frame of making money, right? So they're in the mind frame of investing. So they know that if something happens, right, if they decide they want to invest in a business, they're not throwing everything in the kitchen sink into it. And that's a lot of times what I've done that. Like, I've invested in something wholeheartedly because I believed in it, and it set me back, right? It set me back. And now I'm looking at it and it's like, wow, that wasn't a good business decision because I did not, I didn't plan it. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have 6 months of living expenses set up, that is a very, very important thing. Like, you want to have 6 months, at least 6 months of living expenses set up before you invest a great deal of your time and money into, growing a business. And when you do that, even if you have 6 months, to a year of living expenses set aside, you still have to take massive action in order for your business to grow. That's just the way it is. You have to take massive action. You have to grow it. You have to work it 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 10, 16 hours a day, because, that money is not coming every week or every 2 weeks whenever you used to get paid. All right. So, that would be, my advice, from my personal experience on how, how the truth about entrepreneurship and how these things really, really work. Establish a following, let people know what you do. And from that, you'll get the referrals and, people will start to reach out. And, so yeah, definitely. If an entrepreneur tells you that they have, gone through entrepreneurship and, they're successful now and they never wanted to quit, they are lying to you. Trust me. They are lying to you. This week I wanted to give up. And I'm like, man, you know what? This is ridiculous. Because there's so much that you have to do. Like, there's a lot that you have to do. But, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it, and I'm going to push through it, and I'm going to keep going. But this is, it's 4:17 in the morning. But yeah. So, the show must go on. Like, stay committed to it. Especially if you're following your dream, right? If you're able to monetize your dream, and it's your passion, a lot of people have a passion of working with their hands, like, so doing hair, cutting hair, or doing hairstyles, is a passion for some people because they like working with their hands. And if that's what you like, especially, keep pushing for that, because working with the hands has been proven to be very, very therapeutic, and you go into a meditative state, which is good overall for the body entirely. So by all means, please continue to go through that, pursue that passion. And you want to be able to let people know that the dreams really come true, because people are watching you. Believe it or not, people are watching you. They're inspired by what you do. They're inspired by what you say. They're inspired by you simply trying to become the strongest version of yourself. Okay? So do not, and I say this with love, do not quit, right? Continue. You must continue. You must not quit. Okay? You must go on. You must be willing to start over. If starting over is what it takes, then we will start over. But we will not quit. Quitting is not an option. We may have to regroup. We may have to rethink some things. But quitting is never, ever the option. Just like you can't give up on your financial goals and dreams, you cannot give up on life. right? You cannot give up on life, all right? Cannot give up on life. Life is here for us to experience. Our whole purpose for being incarnated in this body is to learn, right? And in order for us to learn how to become the strongest version of ourselves, we must go through things. Like, we must have experiences, and we must be able to speak and reflect on those experiences and capitalize on what we learned from. All right. So the impetus of our life is simply that, right? is becoming the strongest version of ourselves. Okay, guys. Listen. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Thanks for watching, especially if you made it all the way through the end. I'm very, very excited because that means you are still with us. All right. So tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock. It's going to be Sunday the 9th. And I'm going to be talking about bringing the balance back into spirituality. All right, bringing the balance to the Holy Trinity. All right. So yeah. So that's going to be tomorrow at 11 in the morning. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, tomorrow, as in Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, September 9th. All right, guys. Listen, y'all take it easy. Try not to do too much. Peace.